Now, Donald Trump took to the UN, polluted in people's space. Donald Trump, I've heard Donald Trump smells like one big massive fart. That's just what I can't guarantee this to be true, but what I've heard from very reliable Christian godly sources is Donald Trump smells like fart. So Donald Trump, of course, does his little slow walk. You know, his back is like arched like this. He does his little slow walk. Melania, of course, dreading the fact that she has to be like within like even 5 feet of him yet again. Probably wondering how she got into this baby mama situation. They slow walk their way in. Of course, the entire room covers their nose. Donald Trump takes to the stage to do what he does best, which is just fucking lie. This nigga gets up there and says, America is so hot. He didn't say that this time. He actually spoke. He spoke somewhat like a world leader this time. But everything he says is a fucking lie. Like, I understand that lying is a part of politics, and as a politician, you can't tell the truth all the time because people will lose their minds and flip their shit and But Donald Trump just gets up there and just writes one big Wattpad fan fiction. By the end of this, he's going to be the one to say that he married the Queen of Sheba. He's the one who married fucking, Cleopatra. He established Alexander's empire, but the Democrats at the time conspired against him. Joe Biden and Obama and Chuck Schumer and Shifty Schiff stabbed him in the Senate chamber in Rome. He's actually the real Julius Caesar. We was kings. If you give it up to Trump, he will 100% rewrite all of human history. And he spent the first few minutes of this entire speech rewriting the entire story of the last 8 months, 9 months of this nightmare called his administration, the fucking regime. Let's be perfectly honest here, okay? Let's be honest here. There we go. All right, prepare yourself for the lies.
I feel very happy to be up here with you, nevertheless. And that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble. Hello, Madam First Lady. Thank you very much for being here. And Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, First Lady of the United States, distinguished delegates, ambassadors, and world leaders. 6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on 2 continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration delivered our nation into a repeated set of disasters. 1 year ago, our country was in deep trouble, but today, just 8 months into my administration, we are the hottest country anywhere in the world.
I was wrong. How the fuck? Okay, I admit I didn't watch the speech. That's how y'all know I'm a fucking liar. I said Trump didn't say we're the hottest. Yo, this nigga's actually a dummy, bro. This nigga's a little fucking kid, bro. We're the hottest. You're 80 years of age. In a room full of distinguished world leaders talking about we're the hottest country. This nigga thinks he's in the shade room comment section. Like, what the fuck is going on? We're the hottest country. He just finds phrases and terms and just he just abuses them. Trump is the nigga you played video games with back in the late 2000s who just kept pressing the same button over and over and over again. Cheating ass nigga. This nigga just, we're the hottest country, that. Is there anything else in this man's lexicon? Donald Trump talks like he talks like he's fucking retarded, bro. Donald Trump is one of the most unarticulate or inarticulate world leaders maybe in history. Possibly. Like fucking King Baldwin of the Kingdom of Jerusalem was more physically and mentally functional than Donald Trump. Seriously, this is an 80-year-old man with multiple grandchildren talking about we're the hottest country ever. It's just the same move over and over again. Like, he can't even talk. If a black president kept saying, we the hottest country, we the hottest country, we the hottest country. Like, what are we even talking about? What the fuck are we even talking about? Lord God, like, make it stop.
The world, and there is no other country even close. America is blessed with the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth. This is indeed the golden age of America. We are rapidly reversing the economic calamity we inherited from the previous administration, including ruinous price increases and record-setting inflation like we've never had before. Under my leadership, energy costs are down, gasoline prices are down, grocery prices are down, mortgage rates are down, and inflation has been defeated.
Melania's sitting there like, stop the cap. Melania's sitting there like, you ugly, you fat, and you cap. Bro, this nigga literally just makes shit up. He just like, honest to God, I gotta be real. Part of me admires Donald Trump's commitment to whatever the fuck he believes in. Like, bro, reality and hit, like, Donald Trump is so good at just bullshitting that he has actually taken his reality and made it merge on some level with actual reality. Like, make no mistake, Donald Trump in no way, shape, or form can lie his way out of a bad economy. This will either catch up to him or his successor. But make no mistake, Donald Trump just lied in succession. Energy prices are not down, they're up. Grocery prices are not down, they're up. Housing prices are not down, they're up. Everything is up right now. Donald Trump knows they're up, by the way. Donald Trump knows prices for everything are up. He's just hoping if he repeats it over and over again, maybe, just maybe, everybody will come to the conclusion that somehow or another, you know, prices are down. Which, like, no, you can't make people ignore the reality of their wallets forever, Donald. You can lie about fine people on both sides. You can lie about a lot of things. But when people can't put food on the table and can't provide for their children, the lies eventually, they're not so sweet at that point. They're not as sweet as they used to be, at least. But this is what you're dealing with Donald Trump's leadership. This is Donald Trump. Is destroy, 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 gaslight, gaslight, gaslight. It's just gaslight. I genuinely, sincerely, like, pity the male or female who has to be the successor of Donald Trump. Because without the cult following and the charisma of Donald Trump, one of the most uncharismatic people I've ever seen in my life. He's not charismatic, he's just a force. Whoever has to inherit this from Trump is fucked. There is literally no one in that camp, fingers crossed, who can actually take over from Donald Trump. No one. Donald Trump is leaving a disaster in his wake, not just for his successor, but for the entire country. Donald Trump literally institutes a 40% tariff on steel. Steel is integral to so many goods, but for Gen Z, for Zoomers who are trying to establish some semblance of an American dream for themselves, cars and steel, they go quite well together. Cars have steel in them. If steel is less affordable for companies to import, to put together, to make the cars, guess what? The car price, it goes up. Houses, they need steel too. If steel imports are maintained It's going to cost more for your house to be put together. Guess what your house costs? It costs more. Donald Trump is literally robbing Gen Z of its dream, the same way that the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, robbed the millennials of their dream. We are being robbed. And these people are insidious. They knew that they needed to get the youth on their side. That's why they've worked so hard over the course of the last 10 years to get into the minds of Zoomers. How do we get them? Social media, college campuses. They spent the last decade brainwashing and grooming us into voting for a political party that seeks to enrich themselves, to enrich the rich, and to destroy us. You still have young, disaffected, and let's be honest, we have young, disaffected white men who feel like on the left doesn't like them, doesn't fuck with them, has no empathy for them, and on the right, they're lured in by this deceptive promise of a whiter, more male-dominated, more traditional America. But what we've come to find is actually they're not getting any of that. They're not getting any of that. In fact, what's really happening is Donald Trump has robbed white men, black men, Latino men, everybody. He's robbed everyone. As he's fucking, I don't even know if he's going to use that jet from like Qatar, because Donald Trump has to like spy proof it. So like he gets a private jet. He gets billion-dollar investments in his crypto scam. That's his crypto company that's also owned by his sons. He conspires with Steve Witkoff to ethnically cleanse all of Gaza. By the way, in this speech, Donald Trump literally sits there and admonishes Europeans for acknowledging the Palestinians as a state. You are the reason why they're doing that, dickhead. You got into office, and one of the first things you said coming into office was you're going to ethnically cleanse them all. They need to leave the land, right? So you can establish a Riviera of the Middle East and build golden statues of yourself. This man is literally the Antichrist. He is what the Bible heralded. This man literally worships himself. He worships himself. Donald Trump's God is not Jesus. It's not Yahweh. It's himself. He gets on stage and gets mad at the Europeans for acknowledging Palestine. Part of the reason why they're doing so is because the Palestinians are actually at risk of being ethnically cleansed from their land. You, the president of the United States, alongside one of the most powerful and wealthy men in the world, Elon Musk, have actively espoused interest in ethnically cleansing 1 million people from their ancestral homeland. Of course the Europeans are going to acknowledge Palestinians. They're not going to just sit there and allow like the trail of tears to happen a second time. Never again, remember? That means for everyone. Never again. Come on now. But see, Netanyahu and Donald Trump don't give a damn. You have actual IDF soldiers saying, can't even lie. They're asking us to shoot civilians. Donald Trump is not mad at Netanyahu for making the problem work. When have we ever heard Netanyahu come out and say that he's going to investigate who shot who and what's going on, and we have names and they're going to jail and I promise accountability? Nope. And then Trump has the audacity to bitch and whine and complain about the Europeans. Well, you're a barbaric buffoon. So is Netanyahu. Of course, the only adults in the room, the Europeans, are of course adulting. They're behaving like what they are, adults. America is still a rowdy, arrogant, young, bratty country that thinks it's invincible. The Europeans have been around the block quite a few times, and Donald Trump thinks he can lecture the more advanced and civilized world on how to carry out foreign policy, domestic policy. Who the fuck is Donald Trump? He can't even manage the United States of America. With the right deferral to expertise, Donald Trump could do this job reasonably well. Like, this tariff shit is not complicated. Donald Trump makes it complicated. Foreign policy is complicated, but Donald Trump overcomplicates it. A lot of what Donald Trump does, every single frustration Donald Trump has acquired or accumulated, bro, this fuck nigga is Donald Trump is the source of it all. Donald Trump is the source of all of his ops, all of his political mishaps. Bro, pitfalls and mishaps. He is the source of all of it, but he would have you believe everyone else is out to get him. The whole world is in a conspiracy. Come on, folks. Seriously.
The only thing that's up is the stock market, which just hit a record high. In fact, it hit a record high 48 times in the last short period of time. Growth is surging, manufacturing is booming. The stock market, as I said, is doing better than it's ever done. And all of you in this room benefit by that, almost everybody. And importantly, workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? In 4 years of President Biden, we had less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. In just 8 months since I took office, we have secured commitments and money already paid for $17 trillion. Think of it, 4 years, less than $1 trillion, 8 months, much more than $17 trillion is being invested in the United States, and it's now pouring in from all parts of the world. We've implemented the largest tax cuts in American history and the largest regulation cuts in American history, making this once and again the best country on earth to do business. And many of the people in this room are investing in America, and it's turned out to be an awfully good investment during this 8-month period. In my first term, I built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had the best economy ever, history of the world.
This bitch ass nigga is doing a campaign rally at the fucking United Nations General Assembly. Send the fucking flood. This nigga was born on a blood moon. You know what? I hate to be one of those people that's like, the vibes though, the vibes, like the blood moon, the vibes. Like, are we like, bro, what is going on? All of this is just cap. No, $17 trillion has not been paid to the United States in investment or any other form of moving of funds. This is a lie. All of this is a lie. Wages have not gone up at all. In fact, wages are probably going to go down. Unemployment has skyrocketed under this bitch. What is he even chatting about? This is what drives me insane about Donald Trump, is the fact that it works. Like, Trump being a habitual liar wouldn't be as bad if it wasn't effective. Like, if he was constantly, like, failing, I'd be like, well, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, nice try, Donald. But this nigga's actually succeeding, though. He's actually doing a decent job of being a fucking cap star. Consistently, he lies up and down and somehow manages to take W's. And the bitter truth, and I'm gonna inform you about the bitter truth here. The bitter truth about this is that MAGA is 100% deep in the sunk cost fallacy. MAGA is so deeply invested in this buffoon that they cannot in any way, shape, or form realize that jumping off the train is actually more beneficial, even with the losses that may come with it. It's more beneficial than heading straight toward the collision course that Donald Trump's little MAGA train is clearly headed toward. Clearly. It is so obvious that Donald Trump is the antithesis of everything they claimed to be voting for. Multiple things are true. MAGA did not vote to improve their own lives. They voted to ruin the lives of white liberals, black people, Hispanics, Muslims, non-Muslim Arabs, anybody who's not them. They just fucking hate them, okay? Like, they just despise, okay? Of course, they voted to ruin our lives, but MAGA also, on some level, voted under the ridiculous thought process that Donald Trump was going to make America great again, and he's going to fix the economy, and all this nonsense. The American people are stuck in an absolute loop of insanity, a loop of delusion and ignorance that Donald Trump has taken the utmost advantage of. That's the reality, is that Conservative white America cannot bring themselves to admit that everything they were taught to believe was a lie. No, conservatives are not better with the economy. Conservatives don't govern. Governing is actually against what conservatives, and this is like, as someone who's gotten deep into political philosophy for the past like 2 or 3 months, conservatives disgust me on a nerdy level, like on a nerd level. Reading John Locke, reading Machiavelli, reading Rousseau, like it's impossible to be a conservatism actually makes me insane. The idea that smaller government is better for society is something an idiot believes. It is unbelievable to me that conservative white America benefited so heavily from the New Deal, from everything FDR put in place, and then turns around and is somehow in this romantic, this romantic delusion in which they're just in love with the idea of less government. No healthcare, no education, no nothing. Just everybody fend for themselves, as if the entire purpose of society is the opposite of that. Society has always been a cooperative experience. Whether it's a tiny village, a small city, a big bustling city, a nation state, society has always been about I help you, you help me, we make life as easy as possible for one another. Life is already hard enough. Working apart is way worse than working together. What do we pay taxes for if the government needs to be so small? And this is the problem that conservatives, have not put any sort of answer to, because the reality is that the government wants to continue to collect your tax money so they can invest that money into their private businesses as contractors. So they can make money off of, we're providing a service to the government, while in reality, they're enriching themselves. They have zero answer for healthcare, zero answer for education, zero answer for jack shit. Zero. And Mike Johnson is so desperate for a human shield that he takes to social media and explains his reasoning for cutting Medicaid as, well, there's just so many young men at home playing video games and not working. Have you asked yourself why so many young men, mostly straight white young men, feel disenfranchised? It's not just because the left is mean to them. It's also because society has failed them. Not fuck all that. It's because the Republican Party has failed them. The Republican Party failed millennial white men, and the Republican Party has yet again betrayed, not even failed, because this iteration of Republican politics promised straight young white men the world and beyond. You promise them everything, and you give them a knife in their back. That's the reality of what Donald Trump has done. For him to take to this stage and give this ridiculous, nonsensical speech to the rest of the world showcases the absolute failed state of the United States of America. The fact that our nation is so uneducated, so woefully ignorant and buffoonish that he could get up there and lie about statistical facts in front of actual esteemed world leaders. It showcases that we are still a juvenile nation that has no idea what it's doing. Or at least once upon a time, we weren't juvenile. Once upon a time, we knew what we were doing. I mean, we kind of did. I mean, come on. For a while, we were a respectable country. Now, the weaknesses are showing. The cracks in our armor are showing. And in fact, it's gone from a crack to a significant dent. Seriously, our nation has been exposed by Donald Trump. The underlying sickness of the Confederacy, this Confederate sympathizing part of our country, they never went away. They're incredibly uneducated, incredibly arrogant, brash, cocky, psychotic, in love with violence, insane. We as a nation have yet to come to terms with that. That's one of the reasons why I'm not really big on immigration right now, because half of white America is not even assimilated. Half of white America is not even assimilated to the United States. This is a fact. Half of Hispanics are not assimilated to the United States. This is a fact. America is not just loving Jesus, loving the flag, and never speaking an ill word about the country. America is also values, morals, ethics, laws. Things that Donald Trump has an incredible dislike for. You have Donald Trump's attorney general, without a doubt at his own command, speaking against freedom of speech. Half of white America is not actually assimilated to what the United States was founded on. The principles, the values, the laws, the ethics. We can talk about culture and race, and we can talk about that. But there is an undeniable reality that America is not just the people who built it, but also the concepts and ideas that they built it on. That's the reality of it. And white nationalists don't want to have that conversation. That America is not just whiteness and Christianity, although it was built on those things, and it was obviously America is a historically white nation. This is just a historical fact. Of course, black Americans have been integral to America's development. We've been there from day one. We're a part of it. We are Americans. Hispanics have been here for quite some time, but historically, America is a white European founded nation. However, America is also a historically somewhat liberal nation, a nation that believed that, that the country's future could be determined by the average man through voting, that a man should be represented by an elected representative. A man had freedom of speech. These were all historically Western European liberal values, that a man can have the freedom of religion. All of these things MAGA is trying to destroy day in and day out. Day in and day out. So when I say that half of white America is not assimilated, that's what I mean. Half of Hispanic America is not assimilated. It's ironic that MAGA's bitching and moaning about all these minorities being brought in. They all agree with you. They all think like you. I wish more of our immigrants were white European. They'd bring their liberal values with them. I'm just keeping it real. MAGA bitches and moans about, oh, these brown people, these black people, the Haitians, they're eating dogs and cats with ketchup. Like, okay. Like, they literally are Christian just like you. They have traditional morals and values just like you. But you're so caught up with the difference in terms of skin color and culture that you can't even realize they actually think a lot like you. The amount of minorities who have no business voting for Trump that vote for Trump is unreal. Unreal. Unfucking real. So the reality is that what we're seeing here is a lack of healing. A lack of healing in this country. A significant amount of white America is still on that Confederacy shit. They're still on that bullshit. They're still on it. There's nothing wrong with being a patriot. There's nothing wrong with being proud to be white. There's nothing wrong with none of that, but let's not pretend like this MAGA movement is innocently patriotic and we love Jesus and we're proud to be white. No. No. This is much more insidious, much more demonic, much more insane and delusional and irrational than anyone could possibly conceive of. Never seen before. If we're being real, if we are being real, so we have the most retarded president in human history in front of the entire world lying about the state of his own country's economy that he just destroyed. He sits there and claims inflation is down like we've never seen before. Donald Trump has managed the economy so poorly. The Federal Reserve said, you know what, the inflation that's going to come from us cutting the fucking interest rates in conjunction with Donnie's tariffs, that's bad. But like unemployment going up so high, like that's also really bad. So we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Fuck it, we ball. The Federal Reserve literally is in a place of fuck it, we ball because of Donald Trump. And he has the audacity to get up in front of the entire planet like that one crazy cousin at the family reunion and just lie about the state of the affairs. Y'all know Desi Banks TikTok or Instagram video that he got, or like little video he got where he's a cousin at the family reunion lying about what he be doing, telling his grandma he got a job and shit. You know what I'm saying? I got me a little job, you know what I'm saying? That's Trump. Trump is that person who comes to the family reunion, cap his ass off about, being a productive member of society, destroy stuff, getting into fights with folk, loading up 20 plates for himself. Like, that's Trump. Except he's not as endearing. Trump is literally the worst member of our country by far. Like, I think he's the worst American to ever exist by a significant margin. Like, okay, maybe not. It's a tough one between Trump and, like, the Confederacy, but, like, Trump is putting up significant points per season to possibly be the most venomous player of all time.